Bust it.
Its political platform on the Ray Power Network. And like you know, later in the evenings on AIT Abuja at exactly 6, the program comes to you again. My name is Shola Jaisime. A very interesting weekend, a weekend of by-elections in different parts of Nigeria, from Katsina to Kogi to Bauchi and to Cross River, Obudu, precisely. And what are the results that came up from these by-elections? It is APC 3, PDP 1. Looking and zeroing in on the case in Katsina, where two brothers slugged it out for the Katsina North senatorial seat. And who came out tops? The younger brother of the APC. That's the that's the senatorial district of President Muhammadu Buhari. And I recall that the acting president Yemi Osinbajo was there to campaign on behalf of the APC candidates, and eventually the party came out tops. Also, the same thing in Bauchi, yes, Bauchi South, where the APC again nicked the senatorial seat. But the case that drew lots of comments at the weekend by political actors and the political analysts was that in Kogi State, the Kogi Kotonkarfi Federal Constituency seat. 2 persons reportedly killed. The police has yet to confirm that, but our correspondent and other media who were covering the election said that was exactly the case. Shootings, ballot box snatching, and all other things. Well, does a state assembly seat, can it be inherited? Well, the people of Obudu say it's not inheritance, but a case of having confidence in the wife of the lawmaker in the Cross River House of Assembly who passed on, and his wife stood in as the candidate of the PDP, and she nicked handsomely that particular seat. So, like I said, APC 3, PDP 1. My colleagues are in the studio. Amechi Anakwe is here, and Bayo Boduri. Bayo Boduri, welcome from the assignments in parts of Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shola. I think what happened in Katsina is interesting. What family ties has joined together. Politics should not put it asunder. They are of the same parents, the same father, and they slug it out. I hope that politics will not, at the end of the day, put them asunder. It's not the first time we are witnessing it. In the First Republic, we witnessed where a son and a father ran for the same post. And interestingly enough, the son defeated the father, and that was the late Alvan Ikoku, whom you see on the currency, one of the currencies of Nigeria.
10 naira, precisely.
And SG Ikoku, who is also late, slugged it out with his father on the platform of Action Group, his father on the platform of SNC, and Ikoku defeated his father. So, but that does not put them asunder. He still remained his son, and he remained his father until he died. So, but one sad development is the incident, the terrible incidents of electoral violence witnessed in Kogi. It is terrible. I specifically use the word terrible because we are approaching 2019, and I think all men of conscience should rise up to plead with our politicians to change their attitude to politics. A situation where armed thugs will invade a polling unit, shooting, and we have policemen there. It raises serious concern of what level of security we are even providing for the election, in spite of the massive deployment of security men to anywhere election is holding. And snatching ballot box and all the rest, I think these are attitudes that I think at least we should be able to find a solution to before the next election. There are good news from Kano. The Emir of Kano, is a very frank traditional ruler. When he was even not on the stool, he was also very, 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 very frank. Vocal. And at the weekend, he spoke out forcefully. He said religion is being exploited at the detriment of development in the country. He said a lot of politicians are exploiting the ignorance of the citizens, but instead of delivering electoral promises, they are promising them that they will uplift religion. And he said, sadly enough, in his words, that let me quote what he specifically said: there are enormous challenges in the education sector, infrastructure, health. Instead of tackling the challenges, governors are busy promising to deliver religion, which led to the development of many states. I think it's a wake-up call. Yes, we should be a religious nation, but that does not really mean that we should use religion to divide the people and exploit their ignorance in the name of fighting for party supremacy or seeking for political influence.
Not just
okay, yeah, I bet you welcome to the program.
Not just the issue of religion from the I think the Emir of Kano and the Sultan of Sokoto.
Emir of Kano.
The Emir of Kano. If you take a look at the narratives, the discourse in the run-up to the 2019 election, it's just but wait for Nigeria. It's all about defections. It's all about impeachments. It's all about abuses. You hear abuses at me, I respond. And the citizenry, very sadly, appear to be enjoying it and are being willingly carried along. We have failed to hold them to account and tax them. What are your manifesto? What do you hope to deliver? Nigeria has the largest number of poor people in the world. It's not subject of discussion. It doesn't concern anybody. Those in authority is not a source of concern. The led are also just oblivious of it. Now take a look at our electricity sector. There's a big crisis looming between the discourse and the government. Nobody's talking about it. It's all about impeachments. It's all about abuses. It's all about frivolities, trivialities, and we have a huge chunk of educated people in the world. If we put issue of development here on the table, we won't get responses, we won't get social media feedbacks, we won't get mails from people telling us the way forward or commenting on specific issues. But if you talk about Adams Oshemola and Bukola Saraki, things that don't affect us, abusing each other, we'll just lash onto it and carry all our interests and put on that place. Where are we heading to as a nation? Good from the Emir of Kano, as voice of wisdom. It reminds us that as the citizens, we have the power, we hold the power, and we must not allow the politicians to dictate the agenda, set the agenda, and carry us sheepishly as if they are shepherds over us. We need to join issues with them. Rescuing this nation rests in the hands of the citizens. And it is something we must not treat with unseriousness. We must give it all the seriousness.
So talking about the role of the citizenry, the Osun election is less than 6 weeks away, or is it about 4.5, 5 weeks away? Something I read at the weekend about even those who have registered in Osun. I'm talking about the role of the citizenry now based on what you said. Over 534,000 PVCs yet to be collected. They registered, but they are not collected. So if citizens have done part of their civic responsibility and they're not fulfilling the other aspect to enable them to be able to, perform their electoral role in deciding and choosing leaders they want, where does that leave Nigeria?
And it is about things that affect them as politicians, their positions, their power base. What about the things that affect us as citizens? The economy, the welfare issues, the amenities. We should try to elevate the greatest welfare and the greatest good for the greatest number to the platform and make it issues of national discourse and not these frivolities we have been seeing around.
I was in Osun for 5 days last week to monitor preparations for the September 22 governorship election, and I moved around the state. I went outside Oshogbo, and I see billboards everywhere, and then the billboards proclaiming, even on the billboards, they are no issue based. It's just singing the praises of an individual who wants to be at the government house, and then in the political parties, they are not discussing issues. It's not issue based. What they are doing is infighting. Just one morning, 9 members of the executive of APC left APC. Defected to another party becomes the issue. Because the candidate they want did not emerge as the flag bearer. And then in the PDP, For 3 days, I saw them running to court with lawyers and everything. What are they fighting? You are not qualified. You are not.
Don't have certificate.
You don't have certificate.
But these are
so
issues.
The totality of it is that we don't have issue-driven campaigns. And nobody is thinking. It's like my ambition. It's not the interest of the masses. It's not the interest of people they promise to serve.
And that's why we have programs like Political Platform, so that we can bring the issues to the table.
Did you see the package of onions, some food stuff it's on the social media. I don't know whether it actually these are the packages of food items that were shared to
politicians
people to induce their votes.
We will also be having joining us on the program this special advisor, a senior special assistant rather, to the president on National Assembly matters for the Senate, himself a former senator, Ait Enang. He's in the studios. He will join us after the break.
It's the mail segment, and I am Ife Nwanwobi.
I am Usaitin Yari. Welcome.
We'll begin with a mail from Yusuf Yadama in Kefi, Nasarawa State, and he starts by saying, Dear Nigerians, please hear the APC. Former Speaker Aminu Tambuwal defected from PDP to APC in 2014. I quote, We would like to thank Alhaji Aminu Tambuwal for what he did. We are overwhelmed. Taking such a remarkable risk and sending everybody on holiday till December is an achievement. End of quote. Coming from President Muhammadu Buhari at APC's Special Convention, Abuja, 29th October 2014. And I quote, I must say that this historic development means that our democracy is growing by the day and it is dynamic. On a more serious note, we welcome the defection of Tambuwal to APC. With this defection, APC has now taken the leadership of one arm of the national legislature. We think that having the head of the legislature from the opposition party makes for a balanced setting in government and is good for democracy. Those who are saying this has not happened before and that Tambuwal should step aside as speaker do not have the backing of history and constitution. End of quote. Coming from APC's former spokesperson, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. I quote again. We welcome and applaud the Speaker's decision. We are proud to acknowledge that the Speaker remains not only a member of the House of Representatives, but also its Speaker. This position is consistent with the law and practice in a presidential system. For the avoidance of doubt, the Constitution requires only that the Speaker or Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives shall be elected by members of that House from among themselves. End of quote. Coming from Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, minority leader at the time, now the majority leader. Now, Nigerians should ask the APC what has changed in our constitution between 2014 and 2018. And Yusuf ends by saying, on Saraki and Ekweremadu we stand.
Taking an opposing view, Mike Ajorin in Yaba, Lagos says, majority of the analysts on the issue feel the defection and retainment of Speakership of House of Rep in 2014 should also pass for Saraki. Tambuwal's defection in 2014 is different from Saraki's. In Tambuwal's case, he defected after APC became majority, so there was no need for a change of leadership. In Saraki's case, the PDP remains the minority party. Even if APC does not have two-thirds majority to remove him, it is still majority. The Constitution says that the leader shall emerge from majority votes of colleagues. APC should approach the Supreme Court for an order for majority test to be carried out to see if Saraki has majority. He should resign if he doesn't have that majority. God bless Nigeria. That's it for today. The Root remains Political Platform at raypower.fm.
Welcome back to Political Platform on the Ray Power Network. And like you know, every evening, Mondays to Fridays at 6 p.m., we also bring you the program on AIT Abuja. And we have in the studios, like we said, the presidential liaison. That's the old term, I used to know it, called the Second Republic. Senator Ait Enang, the SSA to the Senate for President Muhammadu Buhari. Welcome to Political Platform, Senator Ait Enang.
Thank you very much, presidential liaison.
Yes, Now, you're all smiles. 2 more senatorial seats for the APC.
Thank you very much. Thanks for celebrating us.
Now, let's go deep into the issues, Senator Ait Enang. We're not unaware of what has been happening. I don't know whether I'll use that old Second Republic phrase. You dabble me, I tackle you. What's the situation in the Assembly? You are of the APC. You represent this president. Do you think, in all honesty, like your party has been saying, that Senator Saraki must leave that position of Senate President?
Let me first of all say that I've appreciated one of the things that you've said at the early this morning, particularly led by Mechi Enekwe, my brother. Excuse me. And that was that we are concentrating too much on the questions of the polity. And most of these things about the individuals. We're not talking about development. We're not talking about, we're not interrogating power as to the way we are handling education, power, foreign relations, and other things that affect the government. We're not talking if contractors are performing on site. We're not talking if contractors have been paid. We're not talking if they have been paid, are they delivering quality job. I think we should do a little to divert more from these political matters of light political matters and so on. Now, on the question, what was your question?
The question was clearly that, in your own view, you were a senator. You were even in the House of Reps for 3 terms. Up until 2011, you moved to the Senate, regarded as the upper chamber. In all honesty, Senator Itaina, do you think the rules of the Senate that you know does not give Senator Saraki the right to remain as the Senate President?
My job, I am presidential liaison to the National Assembly. And my job is to make sure that I am politically correct. 1. 2, my job is to make sure that I do not descend into the domestic arena of the floor of the Senate. My job is to make sure that the presiding officer, the principal officers, the distinguished senators, the members of the House, and all of them are in peace amongst themselves and act within the rules. My job also as a diplomat is to make sure that you do not get into the internal affairs of the country to which you are accredited, because at that time you will be declared as persona non grata if you do. So it will be unfair for me to descend into that question. I work with the Senate. I wish them peace. I am working with them. The political parties, what is happening on the floor of the Senate today is the contestation for superiority between the political parties. It is not the contestation between the executive and the legislature. So it is the APC and the PDP which are represented. It is a statement of the APC chairman and the statement of the PDP chairman. It is the statement between the spokespersons of the PDP and APC. It is question between the contestations between the parties represented on the floor. Therefore, as a representative of the executive accredited to the legislature, I do not descend into it. My job is to make peace amongst them.
You're also a lawyer, Senator Ina.
Yes.
So let me ask you,
a lawyer of good standing.
Let me ask
important
you,
for me.
From that perspective, legally speaking, detached as a presidential liaison, what's the take of the law on this? This is important because the political actors believe it's causing a destabilization of the polity.
The take of the law is that the members on the floor, upon being sworn in, will elect their presiding officers. Again, that the members on the floor will choose the leaders of the respective political parties. Now, those ones, it has been done. He says at any time, it is only the members that can determine what will happen or do not happen. I will only come in to say, yes, this should happen, or no, this should happen, if I have a vote to cast to determine what should happen. But my actions, my words, should not inflame any situation. My words should rather calm situations, bring the parties together, ensure that they are together to pass the measures that will allow the executive perform. I should make sure that the situation as it is, what happens is such that they are in peace to settle and sit and pass the supplementary budget, provide money for Independent National Electoral Commission, provide money for the funding of the budget requested by Mr. President, that they should approve loan to be taken from foreign sources so as to fund the budget. My job is to make sure that they sit in such a situation that they should be able to pass the request of Mr. President for the confirmation of members of the Civil Service Commission. Members of the chairman, board members, executive directors, managing directors of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, Asset Management Corporation, the deputy governor, and other officers of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the members of the Independent Corrupt Practice and Other Related Offences Commission, some others of those appointments that are pending. If I descend into the floor where I don't have a vote, then I would be exceeding my brief. And as a diplomat, you do not exceed your brief.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about diplomacy now. We just want to tap from your experience. First, you are a lawyer. Yes. Of good standing.
Yes.
You are
32 years at the bar, very important.
You are in the House of Representatives.
Yes, for 12 years.
For 12 years. You are in the Senate.
For 4 years.
For 4 years. And then
now liaison between executive and legislature.
And then we want to tap from you. Let's look at the Second Republic. When it was time for the election of the Senate President in October 1979, both the then ruling party, MPN. And the next party that has a number of second highest seats fielded candidates in the election. So it doesn't seem as if it is mandatory that the ruling party must produce candidate. If the UPN candidate, the late Senator Odebiyi, had won, he will have become the Senate President. Does it mean is because the contention now is that the ruling party that has the highest number must automatically produce Senate President? That is, I want to seek your view as a lawyer.
My view as a lawyer and as a legislative expert is that the Constitution and the law provides that the members shall choose from amongst themselves. That's number one. But on the political history you've gone to, it was discussed at the caucuses of the parties before they went onto the floor. Number two. Number three, there was a planned alliance by the leadership of the political parties outside the members and with the members, and so it was an agreement between the two or the contending political parties that you will take this, I will take this. Now that did not happen in this case, and it is not it is a question where the members from amongst themselves decided to get into an alliance amongst themselves as members who have votes. It has come to be. I've also heard that in one of the social media posts which were read here by your presenter, that on the question of defections, please let me answer that, that during the defection of Tambuwal, President Buhari hailed it. That was at the convention when the president was speaking as a member of the party, speaking at a convention. He was not yet president. The president, having emerged as president, has ceased to takes on the seat of the political party. But he's now president for PDP, APC, ABGA, ADC, UPP, and then all other political parties. And therefore, he is not speaking like that.
Okay,
he represents all.
Let me ask you this. The Senate and the National Assembly in general has said, look, we will be reconvening on the 25th. Though we had Deputy Speaker Lasso saying the resumption of the House of Reps should be for tomorrow. I know you don't do the liaison with the House, or you have your colleague, a former member of the House as well. Is there a possibility, and what are the underground workings of your office to ensure the National Assembly reconvenes to consider all these things you have mentioned they need to attend to? What
I've done is diplomacy, running between both sides, making sure that any issue that is capable of giving apprehension to the legislators is addressed, is calmed, their fears are allayed, that all agencies that are capable of that they are afraid of any of their possibility of doing what they don't like, that I liaise. I also give confidence to them. What I've done is to make sure that I draw attention not to all the things that are pending to be done from the executive, but to the very urgent ones and the danger of not handling them before. Because
Senator Saraki said, sorry to butt in there, Senator Saraki said, look, the executive knew that there'll be an election. Now,
Yeah.
why was it on the verge of the National Assembly going on recess? Why was this brought at that time? That was a key point raised by Senator Saraki.
Yeah, I will say that the executive knew, but you can only work on, the budget, as Mr. President said, that many things were not provided for as the executive wanted. And Mr. President, in signing the budget, said most of these things are not been provided for. But instead of returning this budget to waste time, I will sign and then present supplementary environment. That is that understanding that the president has acted. We knew that there would be election. We provided other sources, but those sources were not addressed. Therefore, the president has to present it, because the president cannot and will not do that which the legislature has not approved, because President Buhari has always said, what does the law say? What does the constitution say? Do the right thing. You will account to your God. So he will not provide. He controls the money. He has physical. He can.
But the National Assembly appropriates these funds.
You can only act on what the National Assembly appropriates, and that is why he's saying you must. He's not saying you must reconvene. He's saying I appeal to you to reconvene and pass these measures.
Definitely the conversation will continue on issues in the National Assembly as it concerns the executive. Thank you very much, Senator Inak, for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
And Baduri and Amechi, thank you as well. That's the show for today. We'll be here on Tuesday for another edition of Political Platform.
Bust it.